Sergeant Williams, Sergeant Rivera here to speak with you about the MSAF 360 assessment we discussed earlier in the motor pool.
Come in, Sergeant Rivera. How are you doing?
Not bad, Sergeant. How about you?
Good, thanks for asking. Have a seat over here at the table. When you spoke to me in the motor pool, it sounded like you were surprised by some of the feedback you received in your MSAF report. Why do you suppose your subordinate raters think you're unapproachable?
I was thinking about that, and I know sometimes I'm short with them.
What do you mean by short?
For example, sometimes when they're discussing something that doesn't apply to what we are working on, I might change the conversation to refocus them.
Okay, I did notice you doing that the other morning when PFC Jones asked you a question about the difference between basic allowance for housing rates for married and single soldiers.
Well, knowing he wasn't married and wasn't entitled to basic allowance for housing, I changed the subject somewhat and thought about the next room inspection I was planning on having.
It's good that you keep your soldiers informed about things like inspections. However, you did change the subject when he asked you a specific question. Why do you think he was asking about basic allowance for housing rates?
I'm not really sure, maybe for a friend or something.
Do you think it was important to PFC Jones at the time?
I really didn't think about that. I was focusing on the fact that he wasn't entitled to basic allowance for housing.
It's good that you can recognize that now, but how could you have avoided not cutting him off at the time?
I probably should have heard him out so I could get to the bottom of why he asked the question in the first place.
Is cutting people off something you find yourself doing often?
Now that I think about it, I probably do it more than I thought. Maybe I should start listening a little more before jumping to a conclusion.
Okay, that is one thing you could work on.
I actually read something the other day about communication, and it said that to be a good communicator, you first had to listen. It also listed a few steps, like being attentive and engaging in a conversation by using verbal emphasis and nonverbal gestures. I think I'll try some of those steps when talking with my soldiers.
That would be good and should help out some with the communication barrier with your soldiers. But what other reasons would there be for them to think you're unapproachable?
I'm not real sure.
Okay, what was happening the other day after formation when you had your squad doing push-ups?
I was giving them instructions on how we were going to prepare for the upcoming range, and Specialist Doster wouldn't stop asking questions.
What was Specialist Doster asking questions about?
It was about the range, but it was information that I had gone over before and that he should have known.
Do you think that maybe he just didn't understand because of the way you were explaining things? Even though Doster is a specialist, you have to remember that he has only been in the Army for a little over a year. He might not understand all the military jargon or be confident that he knows everything he has to do to support the range.
Well, to be honest, I thought he was just being a wise guy and trying to push my buttons.
So, put yourself in his shoes for a minute and try to think how you would feel in that situation.
Well, I probably wouldn't like it.
Would you want to come to me and ask questions about things if I was always jumping on you for what I thought were simple things?
No, I probably wouldn't. Putting it in that context is kind of making me see a few things that I should probably work on.
I'm glad that you recognize some changes you should make. I think you have a pretty good leadership style. You keep them informed, treat them fairly, and train them well. You probably just need to make a few changes in the way you listen to your soldiers and communicate with them so that they aren't afraid to speak with you, and they know their issues are being heard and understood by you.
Thank you, Sergeant, for taking the time to discuss these things with me. I think I will try to make some adjustments when talking with my soldiers and then just take it from there.
I like that attitude, but I'd like you to go a step further. As you interact with your soldiers over the next couple of days, I want you to consciously use better methods of communication, as you said, but I also want you to pay attention to the outcomes of your conversations. See if you can notice a change in tension or uncertainty on the part of your soldiers. Look for increased frequency as soldiers speaking to you and other things that may indicate that they may see you as more approachable. Then, if you want, come back and see me in a couple of weeks so we can discuss what you did and how it affected the way soldiers approach and communicate with you. If necessary, we can also discuss additional actions you can take.
I'll take you up on that, Sergeant. I'm gonna head back down to the motor pool and get some work done.
Okay, Sergeant Rivera, I look forward to seeing how it works out.